Hello friends, it's been a while since I made a video and I wanted to just do a quick video and give you all a breakdown on how I got the guitar and bass tones from my new song Gustave the Maneater, which features my friends Harrison and Tyler on vocals and drums. If you haven't listened to it, you should check it out now at the link in my description. So anyway, if you've been following me for a while and you know what I'm about, you know that I am pretty much militant usually when it comes to using hardware for guitar and bass tones. With this one, I actually used a plugin. I used Archetype Gojira from Neural DSP, and I'm just going to go ahead and show you all what this sounds like, and then I'll show you how I set everything up. Here it is in context, and then I'll solo it out. Alright, so I'm going to start here from the bottom with the bass, which I've actually got two bass tracks here. Here's what they sound like together. And so the way I had this going was over here. This one is a DI. And the first plugin I've got going is the CLA 76 stereo, and I've really kind of got it like pushed a little bit because it levels out the bass. And then onto the amp sim, I have Ampeg SVTR Classic from Plugin Alliance, and I've got the cab block on that bypassed. And then what's really important is I low pass filter this rather at around 500 hertz and just hack off the high end. And then this is the distortion track. You notice like by itself doesn't really sound that great at all. It's a DI, and on that track I actually used Archetype Gojira for that as well. And I have the cab block, everything bypassed except the amp, and I've got this gain pretty much cranked on there, so that's a pretty distorted, pretty nasty sound, but I clean that up with EQ, come over here and I take everything out below 500 hertz on this one, and then the two tracks marry together. And it gives you that nice like modern metal bass sound. So moving on to the rhythm guitars. Eight string, you know, super low. I think it's drop E. And again, I've got Archetype Gojira here. I've got this overdrive. It's pretty basic overdrive settings. The distortion's all the way down, the tone's cranked, the level's cranked to really kind of smack the front end of the amp sim, I guess. And then moving on over here to the amp, got the gain really low on this guy. The lows are at about neutral or about noon. The mids are kind of high, and the high is a little bit cranked, and the master volume and the presence is really cranked. And then on to the cab block. On the left speaker, I've got the 57 pull over here, and then I've got the condenser 414 directly over the cap, and that is the guitar tone. For the rhythm guitars, so hop over here to the lead guitars, show you what I've got going on there, which these only happen in this one little spot in the song. So again, Archetype Gojira with the overdrive, you know, set pretty closely to how it was in the first on the rhythm guitars. And then I've got the tone like dialed back a bit from what I do on the rhythm guitars. And then onto the amp, doesn't really get much more basic than this. Everything is at noon for those, so everything's just at noon except the level. I've got the level pushed a bit. Then over here to the speaker cab block, again, the 57 and the 414. It's just I've got the 414 off on the cone of the speaker rather than being right over the cap like I did on the rhythm guitars. And then delay and reverb. Oh, and actually there's a chorus on here as well. So there's the chorus. There's the delay and reverb. And then when you get everything in context, here's how it sounds. And also, I wanted to just, talk for a second about how sometimes when we're recording shit and we're doing this, in the world, sometimes some funky shit happens and it can actually like turn out being kind of cool. So I did not realize that my handy dandy DI box here, my Countryman Type 85, when you're using this DI box, I'm going to guess probably any active DI box would probably behave in a similar fashion because they all kind of do the same thing. I had my signal chain was I had my guitar output going to, the instrument input on the 85, and I had the amp output hooked to the instrument input on my Axe Effects, and I had it going out here in the back to the XLR. And when I tracked this song, I tracked it using the plugin, but I just left the Axe Effects hooked up to the DI box. I didn't realize that if whatever you have your DI box plugged into was not turned on, it would actually cause the transformer in the DI box to overload. And it really kind of made the DIs sound, they sound like shit. Just the DIs by themselves. They sound like they're going through a distortion pedal already. And I'm going to just play that and let you hear what that sounds like. Because, it's really freaking weird. I guess that's not the best example here where I'm digging in with the chugs. Yeah, see, that's really like dirty and kind of icky compared to how I like my DIs to sound, and you can tell even by looking at the waveform. These waveforms kind of look like sausages. Guitar DI waveforms should not look like sausages. They should, have there should be a lot more transient peak going on. Than them just kind of being squashed. So that transformer overload on the DI box caused some compression and some distortion on these DIs that's not normal. And I was freaking out. I thought my DI box had died. Like, I was testing the voltage coming off my mic preamps with the phantom power. I was trying them with different batteries. I thought maybe the battery had died, and it was just because I had that output hooked up to something that wasn't turned on. So I guess that signal had nowhere to go, and it just caused the transformer in the DI box to overload. One of the fine folks in the Nail the Mix Facebook group wound up just suggesting, hey, try unplugging what you've got the output of the DI box going to. So I unplugged the amp output of the DI box, and then I redid my DIs, and they were clean. And funny enough, I tried re-recording the guitars on this song after I fixed the DI box, and I didn't think it sounded as good. So that it was wound up being a little happy accident that kind of played into this song, like sounding how it does, which I thought was kind of cool. And I just wanted to share that with you all. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a good one, and I'll see you next time.